I think they're just expecting like 100-pound people to walk through the door. Like nobody over 110 pounds can fit through those doorways.
I already knew people were about to rip her a whole new one. This American highlighted a few culture shocks that seemed to be self-inflicted, to the point where she received a ton of criticism in the comment section, so much so that she had to turn the comments off, and we can't even check that out. But on this video, you guys can actually leave a comment. So we're gonna be going through some of the culture shocks this American experienced in Europe and what she liked and didn't like about her experience out there. I'm not sure which country she's about to be referencing, because of course this does not apply to all of Europe. But if you guys are new here, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Please help us hit 1 million subscribers by liking this video and subscribing if you haven't already. And also get ready to leave your opinion in the comments. The criticism and backlash she faced from the comment section was so intense that she felt the need to disable her comment because it was too much to handle.
I keep seeing Europeans posting about things that surprise them in America, so I think I need to share a couple things that surprised me when I was in Europe. Starting off strong, there are no top sheets in Europe, anywhere, at least anywhere that I've been. You guys don't use top sheets, and I don't like it.
There are no top sheets. I need to be very clear on what this is before I say what I have to say. Okay, this is a perfect breakdown. So you have the duvet / comforter on the top, and you have the top sheet in the middle and the fitted sheet on the bottom. Regardless, this definitely does not apply to all of Europe, because I was in Germany, and guess what my bed had in my hotel? Actually, guess what all of my beds had in each hotel? Top sheets. I was inside the Elbphilharmonie Hotel. I was inside a Marriott hotel in Hamburg as well. And I mean, amongst several other hotels, I've stayed in a ton of hotels in Germany, but all of them in the hotels, at least I was staying in, they had a duvet. All of those beds had top sheets. So I don't know what she's on about. Apparently she's visited every single country in Europe, so I guess this makes sense. Now, again, I understand that the sentiment as of recent is not using top sheets because it gets bunched up, tangled around the feet, all that good stuff, whatever. But there are still plenty of places that use top sheets. But again, recently, a lot of places globally are kind of moving away from top sheets. But do you guys have top sheets in your beds? Let's go ahead and put this rumor to rest right now.
Need a top sheet. It's necessary. It feels cleaner, like everywhere. At a hotel, my house, I always need a top sheet. Also, the pickpocketing is huge in Europe. I feel like in the US, if you're gonna try to pickpocket someone, they're literally gonna pull a pew-pew on you, or they're gonna beat you up, like right there in broad daylight.
This is what might have got her packed up as well, because I have talked about pickpocketing, I think one time, a couple of times on this channel, but I narrowed it down to a couple of countries, and those two countries were Italy and France, and specifically certain cities in Italy and France, right? Paris for France, and then of course Rome, I believe, for Italy. It's not all the time, but it's enough to where there has been a reputation. It's not all over Europe though, because I definitely thought that that was going to happen to me in Germany, and not a singular time did any of that happen. I made sure I took accountability for all of the items that were on me. I had some friends travel with me, so we kind of traveled in a group, but even when I was by myself, not one time did I feel like somebody was going to go through my stuff and take my stuff or whatever.
The walking culture in Europe is huge. We definitely don't have a lot of that here. I live in St. Pete, so like people do walk more here than probably in other cities, but we don't have any public transportation, and everyone drives everywhere here. And in Europe, there are so many people that don't have a car because they just take the metro, the train, the bus, whatever it may be.
That's something that I absolutely adore about different places in the world, actually. So in South Korea, oh my gosh, Seoul is walkable as hell. I'm living in South Korea currently, and most places in South Korea you can live in without having a car. I'm pretty sure everywhere in South Korea, for the most part, you can live in and not have a car, because I've taken the buses, the trains, I do it on a daily basis. I have not had a car the entirety of the time that I've been in South Korea, and it's almost been 5 years. It's almost been 5 years. In South Korea, no car. I feel like a giant weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and I get to go pretty much anywhere. I can go to the movies. I could go anywhere. I would like a car, but it's not necessary. In the United States, it's like a necessity. In fact, I remember when I moved from Chicago to Arizona for the first time, and I was so disappointed because I had been told that the area I was moving to was a city, and I thought that it was the same type of city that Chicago was, right? It was very massive, very intricate, elaborate transportation system, all those things. Well, no, I landed in Arizona, in Tucson, and it's very spread out. It is a city, by definition, and it looks like a city, I guess, by definition, but it was very spread out. And if you were to live in Tucson without a car, it would be borderline criminal. Okay. So I obviously was like kind of down in the dumps about that because I had to fork over some coin for a car I did not want. Now, for the car peoples out there that love driving, shouts out to you guys. I just want to have it to a point where you can choose whether or not you want to purchase a vehicle. I don't want to have to purchase a vehicle due to the lack of walkable cities and horrible infrastructure in the area that I live in.
I was in London. I learned very quickly that when you order hot chocolate, it is not like hot chocolate in the US. It is literally melted chocolate in a cup. No milk or anything.
It shouldn't taste like anything in the United States. You're in a different country. Also, we are known for putting a ton of sugar and added things in our drinks. So yeah, the fact that the hot chocolate had melted chocolate, that seems good enough to me. I've made hot chocolate at home before and I just use chocolate, melted chocolate. I grab Ghirardelli chocolate. There's already more than enough sugar in that. And I melt it in a cup with some water and it's pretty good. For this particular segment, I just need you guys to let me know one thing. How do you guys have your hot chocolate? Like, how do you guys make your hot chocolate? Do you put milk and sugar and cocoa powder and all these little things in your hot chocolate to make it hot chocolate? Or do you just melt chocolate in a cup, maybe with some water, boom? How do you make your hot chocolate? There's gonna probably be a variety of different ways people make it.
I felt like everything in Europe was narrow, like the hallways, the walkways, restaurants, even the seating was just super close to other tables, which I'm not used to, and the restaurants are all very small. I think they're just expecting like 100-pound people to walk through the door. Like nobody over 110 pounds can fit through those doorways.
Okay. Clearly, I need to know where she's been. Well, she has mentioned that she's been to the UK, so at least we know that the UK in her perspective might be all of Europe. But even still, the doorways being too small and narrow, obviously, they've been built like that for centuries. Now, some places might be new, but in general, with European architecture, it's old. It predates the United States in most places, if not all. You know what I mean? I, again, have traveled, and again, most of my experiences are limited to Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, and I can fit through every doorway. Just saying. Maybe the doorways are minute and minuscule in the UK and you can't move around anywhere. People can't get into any buildings. You got to be 110 pounds, which is what, like 55 kg roughly? That's about like 55 kg. I'd say even like maybe 54, 52 kg. So you have to be 52 kg to fit through doorways in all of Europe. I mean, Germans aren't small. They're not tiny. You know, they're pretty sizable. In fact, I didn't realize how big like Europeans were until I traveled again to the Netherlands. I traveled to Germany, Belgium, and I'm like, wow, Americans and Europeans, we might go bar for size. Now, obviously, Americans are definitely more obese than Europeans are on average. We have a higher obesity rate, but still, one interesting testament that kind of puts our sizes, Europeans and Americans alike, to the test is here in South Korea. South Koreans are built real small, okay? Tiny, real tiny. When I made the whole 55 to 52 kg joke, they're literally 55 kg, 52 kg, maybe sometimes 60 kg, but if you're over 70 kg here, you're a beluga whale to them. They're not very big people. So when anybody travels from other countries that weigh a little bit heavier and stuff, I mean, you're going to be looked at as being pretty huge. You know what I mean? And for me, I weigh 118 kg, maybe 120 kg. I work out a lot. I lift a lot of weight, all that good stuff. So I'm a little bit on the heavier side. I have some European homies that flew in from Germany and, you know, at least the men were very, they're a little bit smaller than me, right? I mean, they're probably around like 90 kg, 100 kg, stuff like that, but still bigger. You know what I mean? And for South Korea, they're like, whoa, you guys are huge. You guys are massive. So of course, it just depends on where you are.
If you need your server, I feel like you really have to flag them down in Europe and they don't just check on you like every 5-10 minutes.
This was definitely something I experienced out there in Germany specifically, right? So servers weren't constantly hounding the table and I didn't expect them to, but I did have an issue trying to get the server to come to the table. And I remember I even asked you guys in a few videos, how do you beckon a server to come over to give you guys the check when you're done? Because I had a rough time doing that. And my German serving wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad, at least. And I was trying to get the attention of some of the servers. I knew they were busy, so I didn't want to be super intrusive, but still, that was probably the most difficult part of the restaurant experience. But I got used to that, and that was totally fine. In fact, I actually prefer it when the server isn't constantly hounding me when I'm trying to enjoy my meal with friends and family and things like that, because obviously there's this pressure to eat expeditiously so you can get in and out so they can bring in more customers. It was not like that when I was in Germany. I sat down, I was able to eat as long as I wanted to eat and socialize as long as I wanted to socialize. And when it was time for me to get out of there and I needed the bill, the only difficult part was getting a person to get the bill. It didn't take super long, but in the United States, because the servers are constantly on you because they're trying to work for those tips, they will be on you pretty much every 30 seconds. It's insane. At least every minute, right? Every minute, they're like, how's the food? Are you good? Is the food good? Are you enjoying yourself? Can I help you with anything? Can I help you with anything? Can I help you with anything? Things like that. It got really annoying. And I'm like, bro, leave me alone. Let me eat in peace. God damn. Or I'm going to order takeout and eat this shit at home. Do you guys have servers constantly hounding you as you're eating your food? Are the servers pretty much scarce until it's time for the check to come? How hard or how difficult is it to call the server over to receive your check so you can get out of there? Boom. And what techniques or strategies do you guys have to get the bill?
Also, electricity over there is so different. You cannot bring a blow dryer or a Dyson or other hair tools like that. You would like literally trip the breaker and there would be no electricity in your entire hotel.
Now, you can't bring a hair dryer and all those other components that have the same type of plug that you had in the United States. You're gonna have to bring something different, right? And obviously, like, it depends on where you are. So she does have a point in some areas for sure, but I'm pretty sure in most hotels it did. I mean, I don't know. I could have this wrong, but all the hotels I've been in, I don't need it for my hair, but I see blow dryers all over the place and amenities and things of that nature. So if you need a Dyson that bad, you need a blow dryer that bad, they have something for you to work with.
On the same note as electricity, every time I would leave my hotel, the electricity would shut off in my room, including the fridge and the AC. And I had medicine in my fridge, and I was like, oh, no. We've got to keep the electricity flowing to the fridge, please.
You know what that is, though, right? I can hear the confusion in this statement and understand partially why this is. Electricity throughout Europe is very expensive, very expensive. At least that's what I have been told. Now, if I'm wrong, you guys pack me up in the comments down below, but it is very expensive. So it does make sense that if you're not occupying the space for the electricity to turn off so they can save energy, because if they don't, that bill at the end of the month for that whole building, that whole establishment is going to be diabolical. They might need to drive those hotel prices all the way up, or they might just bill the person staying in that room at the hotel, you know? So I'm just saying, like, it makes a lot of sense in that regard. Now, yes, it is inconvenient to have your medicine, you know, not be refrigerated or whatever, and your fridge turned off, what have you. But this goes into planning, right? If you did your research and you looked into how things operate and navigate there, then you were able to plan around it. Bring a mini cooler with you or something, you know what I mean? Like, how long are you going to be gone? It's not like you're going to be gone forever. Does your medicine have to constantly be cold? If that's the case, again, create some accommodations for your situation. The whole point of research is A, to learn about the area that you're traveling to, and B, being able to make accommodations for yourself so you can navigate that environment effectively and you don't wind up in situations like hers.
Water is not free. I had to pay for it everywhere. Like at restaurants, water, it was not free. I just can't believe that.
I know they ate her up in the comments about that, because trust me, that was something that I was shocked about when I was doing reaction videos like 7 years ago about stuff like this. I was like, wait a minute, you have to pay for water? Water is a God-given right. That should be free no matter where you go. Now, tap water is free. Tap water is free, okay? Typically, when you go to a restaurant in most places in Europe, the water, you're gonna have to pay for that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to pay for the water. Now, you can ask for tap water, and I'm pretty sure you're good to go, but the default, they'll give you like a bottle of water and stuff. It'll either be still or it'll be sparkling. They'll charge you for it. That's just how that goes. In the United States, we're very used to being spoiled. We get unlimited refills when it comes to anything that is not related to alcohol. And it also depends on the establishment, but for the most part, we're the nation of free refills, especially when it comes to water. Okay, you sit down at a restaurant, the first thing they give you is a water on the house, and then you drink that down, and then they come back and they fill it back up, and they ask you what you want to order, what you eat, receipt and we're like, oh my gosh. Because I guess in the United States, the customer is king or queen or whatever you want to call it. And when we travel, we bring that defaultism with us to other countries. And we're like, excuse me, where's my water? Again, I've gotten a lot of backlash for that myself, especially at that time. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You guys charge people for water? That's insane. I thought it was even crazier that some European countries charged for you to use the bathroom.
Water was not free. I just can't believe that. Last one I can think of right now is the water bottle caps in Portugal. When you would buy a plastic water bottle, the cap was actually attached to the water bottle. So figuring out how to drink that was a bit of a learning curve.
Now, I knew the water bottle cap would get a lot of people because it got me. When I purchased a water bottle from Germany, for instance, and I realized they had the weird attachy thing to the bottle, I was like, what the heck? But it was easy for me because my instinct was, oh, I guess I didn't twist off the cap strong enough. So I just ripped the cap off, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of having those two little handle thingies on the side of the bottle cap. But whatever. I ripped it off and I drank my water and I kept it pushing. Yes, it was a little bit of a shock because I'm like, whoa, I bought a few more bottles of water and they all had the cap on them. And I'm like, that's crazy. So this is a me problem. I keep ripping the caps off. Although I prefer it that way because I hate the little it smacking me in the face, but I know you can turn the bottle around so it doesn't smack you in the face. It's just, I'd rather not have anything obstructing me drinking anything. Okay. So I'm like, oh, let me just get that thing off of there. It wasn't the biggest deal, but it was a big enough deal for me to be like, oh, interesting. And you will absolutely keep seeing, at least for the next 100,000 years, Americans get shocked by that bottle cap. As long as there's that extra bottle cap hinge thing that you guys got going on over there. Yeah, that's going to be a culture shock for sure. So it's very apparent why obviously she got packed up in the comment section. Some of the shocks though, I definitely had myself, and I was like, interesting. It took me a little bit to adjust to, but some of them were just flat out misunderstandings, of course. And, you know, it was very surprising. It takes a little bit of adjustment to kind of figure things out. But part of it, as Americans, we tend to be very entitled when we travel and we are not able to identify that within ourselves, right? There needs to be some self-reflection when it comes to our travel experiences and stuff. And then we're like, okay, cool. This was shocking, but why was this shocking to me? Was it because I'm used to being, you know, handed a bunch of different things in my country and they're not doing the same thing for me in the country that I'm traveling to? Or is it for other reasons? I mean, you have to really sit down and think about that, but we're very reactionary. We're very visceral when it comes to our responses, as are most humans on this planet. So again, a little critical thinking goes a long way, but I see where part of her stuff was coming from, but I also see why she turned them comments off, because I already knew people were about to rip her a whole new one.